Well, I'm joined now by Sultan Barakat. He's a professor of public policy at Hamad bin Khalifa University in Doha. Professor, it's good to have you with us. U.S. President Trump has urged Israel to make the deal in Gaza. Those are his words. The Israeli Strategic Affairs Minister is visiting Washington this week for talks. Do you believe that a ceasefire in Gaza is now within reach?
I don't really think that it is within reach. I accept that maybe President Trump would like to see a ceasefire, partly to protect his relationship with the Arab world, and in particular with the Gulf states, where he has invested billions of dollars and he's expected a good return from his visits a few weeks ago. But I doubt that Netanyahu has the intention and the will to reach any form of deal with Hamas. Because from his perspective, given his ideology and the fragility of his government with the coalition with the extreme settlers, any deal with Hamas will be seen as a recognition that the war has not ended according to his terms, and that is a full defeat of Hamas. And unfortunately, as he has demonstrated over the last 2 years, for him, the Israeli captives are not priority. And this is the only leverage that Hamas holds at the moment. He has shown again and again that these captives can wait. He went on and he tackled his issue with Hezbollah, with Syria, with Iran, and so on, and lost in the process many captives, partly killed by the Israelis, partly killed, in Gaza, and so on. He hasn't really given it the priority it requires for him to reach a deal with Hamas.
Let me ask you, Professor, let me just ask you, if I could, on Monday, you may be aware of this, the Israeli defense minister said that Israel, and I'm quoting here, Israel is facing the completion of the Gaza campaign. At the same time, we've seen that Israel is stepping up its military operations in northern Gaza. This would back up what you're saying, that the Israeli government may not really be interested in a deal.
No, and the other interest they have, and this is when they say they finish a campaign, they want to displace the population, particularly from the north of Gaza. The first third, if you like, the top third of Gaza for them needs to be emptied and turned into a security zone if the Gaza people are allowed to stay in the Gaza Strip at all. Ideally, from his perspective, he'd like to push them all out, and he's making the Gaza Strip uninhabitable. I mean, the circumstances there, and you just reported on this in your earlier news, is incredible. I mean, the number of massacres that are taking place on average since this controversial organization was introduced, against the international will and against all the fundamental principles of humanitarian aid, this Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, on average, 170 Palestinians are being killed on daily basis, seeking the minimum, supplies of food. So they're trying to make life impossible as much as possible at this stage, in the hope that the Palestinians will give up and move out at the first weakening of the international community. And you can see from a humanitarian perspective, it's not inconceivable that countries and even international agencies will start now to call for allowing the Palestinians a second chance elsewhere, because the circumstances are totally impossible at the moment.
I want to ask you about the role of Qatar. We know that Qatar has acted as one of the key mediators in this conflict. Qatar's foreign ministry says that momentum was created by the truce with Iran last week. Do you think that Qatar could contribute to a ceasefire in Gaza?
Well, Qatar has proven itself to be an effective mediator throughout. It depends on whether Israel, again, would like a ceasefire to succeed. Qatar has a unique ability to communicate with Hamas that probably only Qatar can do at the moment, and as such holds a good leverage to remain at the center of the mediation. But I think even for the Qatari authorities, they really need to be very careful moving into another phase of negotiations, knowing that the will is not there. Unless they have a very clear guideline, a green light from Trump, that Trump is willing to step in the same way he stepped in towards the end of the war with Iran and asked Netanyahu or ordered almost Netanyahu to send back his fighters without bombing. Unless they have that commitment from Trump, then they shouldn't really go into this, I think. And the real danger here is that Netanyahu will play for time until he visits Washington next Monday or next week. Then I think even Trump will not have enough leverage on him, because in Washington, he will be sitting with the deep state of the United States. And we all know that those will support Israel without blinking twice. And
well, Professor, let me ask you, just before we run out of time, about these media reports coming out of Israel that say that Israel could end its military actions if Gaza is run by Arab countries. How realistic do you think that is?
It's totally unrealistic. Gaza should have been protected by the United Nations. Any other place in the world suffering the suffering or what the Gazans are going through, we would have all been calling for international protection, a UN force that really is able to protect them from the Israelis and allow them the time to constitute their own political order. At the moment, this is absent. Bringing any Arab country into this will actually make it worse, because they are all linked in one way or the other to one side or the other, and it's not going to work. They're too close to the problem. It's got to be a neutral force from the United Nations protecting the Palestinians.
Professor Barakat, we appreciate your time and your insights today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.